Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing the Object 140, but the Object 140 isn't the focus of the video. It's that I'm playing in the ranked battles. This isn't any old game mode. Now, this is the final day of Ranked Beta Season 2, and the key difference between Ranked Beta Season 2 and Season 1 was that Wargaming significantly reduced the amount of chevrons that would be going into the system. Previously, I believe the top 12 players of the winning team gained a chevron, the bottom 3 didn't lose a chevron, the top 3 players on the enemy team actually gained a chevron and the 12 underneath them lost. Now the system is completely neutral, with 10 players at the top of the winning team gaining a chevron, 5 at the bottom not gaining but not losing, 5 players on the top of the losing team not gaining a chevron, and 10 players underneath them losing, so completely neutral. And so that has meant that while previously there were so many chevrons going into the system that if you just invested a huge amount of time, even if you were maybe a 48-50% kind of victory ratio player, at tier 10 at least, then you would be able to reach the upper ranks. However, now the system's so much more tricky that it's arguably a lot more skill-based. Sure, time is still a factor, and compared to other titles which have ranked should we say ranked game modes, competitive game modes as it's called in Overwatch, for example, the amount of time you have to invest in World of Tanks is absolutely ludicrous. However, Wargaming noticed that basically only about 50 people were going to be able to finish in the top season of the ranked beta season 2. God, it's such a tongue twister to keep remembering that it's a beta season, right? And so they fixed this, and they fixed this by basically lowering the requirements by half. And so now we're seeing about maybe 10 or 15 times more players actually getting into the point where they're going to receive the post-season rewards than it would have been previously. So Wargaming effectively saved an embarrassment. I think ranked season beta 2 would have been a complete disaster if they hadn't implemented that change just for the final week. And so at least they are listening, right? However, they've still got a lot of things they need to fix with this. I'd say that they're still trying to push a hybrid system. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't, but I think that they still need to be looking at other games and how they've been running their competitive modes and realize that players are not willing to invest so much time. But that was the key change that they made. When they lowered the conditions, the amount of the points that you need to have at the end of the season to get ranked, then suddenly the rewards became a little bit easier to get. You might only have to invest like 5 hours a week or something, or 10 hours a week. Gosh, sounds crazy. Whereas previously, if you wanted to reach the top ranks, you'd have to be investing maybe 20 hours a week into the game, or even more, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. And who has got that kind of time to be able to invest? And then the system would have just died. Less and less players would have played it. So it's a good change, and we'll have to see what Wargaming do, if there's going to be another beta season, or alternatively they're just going to release the full season next time. And so if you're if you're a decent player at tier 10, now you don't even have to invest that much time, and you're probably going to be able to finish with a bronze or a silver finish, and then you can get some of those lovely bonds to be able to get that ranked equipment, which I still kind of disagree with in a way. I don't think it should be usable outside of tier 10 personally, but it is. But I don't think many people will be equipping them outside of tier 10. It's not like this equipment is so easy to get that you're going to be investing them all that often on tanks like a T-67, for example, or maybe on your Panzer IIJ, right? That would be the ultimate troll. So now focusing on what I love about the game mode, and that is, 15 unicorns spread across 2 teams here, and all of the other players are very, very decent as well. And so the competition is high. But there's one thing that's very interesting that's been happening inside this game mode, and that is that you might have noticed that their team is just so ahead on kills, and at one point they were about 5 or 6 kills ahead. We hadn't killed a tank. And then they all suddenly started playing so aggressively. And that's because the competition within the winning team is pretty brutal, right? If you're even on the winning team, if you finish in the bottom 5 based on experience, you're not gaining a chevron anyway. And so at the end it becomes this kind of feeding frenzy. And so what I thoroughly recommend if you want to be successful in the ranked game mode is you just can't really risk your tank playing aggressively. Only push forwards into an aggressive position if you're maybe 75-80% sure that it's going to work out. If it's a 50-50 that position could spell your doom without having a big impact in the game, don't go there. It's just too... There's no rewards for being the aggressive player who maybe makes that crazy push to be able to win the game, at least early on. And that's something that I found that I'm still very guilty of. I'm still trying to learn. And Ranked Battles has kind of punished my let's just go and have some fun attitude, right? I'm sure that a few people who watch my stream are a bit disappointed at that, but they only do the Ranked Battles usually about for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks every few months, so it's not really the biggest of deals to play through a season. But yeah, so don't go crazy like I love to do on stream, but when you start to get to this stage where you're playing against very skilled players both on your side and also the enemy team, and you're competing with your team for the chevrons and you're trying to beat the enemy team to be able to have a chance to gain them, then you've got to play safe, right? Not too safe. Sometimes you've got to try and make calculated risks. One thing I've been loving about this game mode as well is just how aggressive people play it. Did you notice how the whole of the enemy line really pushed up all around here? In fact, they should have really won this battle, but then they all got very greedy trying to get those chevrons at the mid part of the game, and then that spelled their demise. And now we're actually managing to come back into the game, but we're still 1 kill behind them, so we're going to have to see if we can pick that up. So you might be wondering, well, why are you just poking this bat chat and then pulling back? Well, obviously I don't want to get hit by the T-92, who's most likely, I think he's probably fallen back into this kind of a location. He might still be around here, though. We'll have to watch out. Obviously, if you're in a Bat Chatillon, you don't want to go all in against... if you're in an Object 140, you don't want to go all in against a Bat Chatillon. And so that's what you see me doing. I'm lowering his hit points slowly. I want to try and trade 1 for 1, and then hopefully I can get him before his magazine goes down. But disaster, I come round the corner, a Bat Chat above me shoots down into my engine deck. Look at the heat penetration there, which sets me on fire. But luckily, I've got a 6-skill crew in my Object 140, so even though I don't take a fire extinguisher, and he was very lucky to set me on fire there, the chance for you to be set on fire, I believe, with this tank is probably about like 10%, 12% at worst, if they hit your engine, right? Fuel tanks work in a different way. If your fuel tanks go yellow, you better repair them in the Object 140 because they're very likely to go red, and when they go red, a fire will start and they will go back to being yellow. But with a fire extinguishing crew in this vehicle, it isn't actually that bad. I lost 478 hit points with a 10% roll of the dice because he hit my engine. Not the end of the world. However, if I didn't have a fire extinguisher, it might have been. But now I sneak around the corner, find the Object 140 who's sitting up in the hill, and we shut him down. Great result, and now I'm hoping that I can push around to go after the Bat Chatillon. And we are right back in this game now. With that kill, the 113 and the Kranvang can push the IS-7, and hopefully what I can do is poke up here and surprise this Bat Chat. This will be such an important shot to the game. Oh, there he is, right there. Nice! Oh god, I hit his gun with a heat round. Talk about pay to win, and now I'm starting to think, where's the artillery? Oh, the artillery was actually in the corner. He was right over there, guys. He was in this location here. The reason why I was hiding myself here is I was trying to align myself up with the windmill to try and predict where he would be, and I was thinking the artillery was locating himself in this corner, but instead he went there. At this stage of the game, the most important thing to do is to not start flooding your team with information, and you want to give them the important information. So what I've said is the Bat Chat is a one-shot. I've pinged the map, I think, once or twice to let them know about where the artillery is going to be. The worst thing that you can do at this stage of the game is to either flood your team with incorrect information, or alternatively just sit there and start berating them and telling they're noobs and so on and so forth. Only communicate if you think you can have a positive role in the game, and that's what I was trying to do. The word for word I say Bat Chat is 50 HP. I recommend you take the high ground, and I pinged out where the artillery would be. And here we go. We got the 113 and the Kranvang, who are on 5 kills between them. They've obviously had a very positive role in this game. Going to be pushing around the corner. We'll have to see if they're on some monster damage as well. And right now, the IS-7 puts 542 damage into the Kranvang's lower plate, but now this is where having that autoloader should be beneficial. And it looks like artillery misses, but the 113 uses his medkit to get rid of the stun. The Kranvang fires a heat round into the tracks of the IS-7. Not a good result, and the Bat Chat comes to the side, puts a round at the Kranvang, and the 113 misses. And now the IS-7 is locked down by the Kranvang. The Bat Chat firing heat at the lower plate of the 113 manages to penetrate him, and this 113 is just thinking right now, do I want to engage the IS-7? Do I want to engage the Bat Chat? He's trying to bait the Bat Chat round the corner. I'm having a quick look. Where's he going to be? Okay, the IS-7 pops around, puts a shot into him, and it looks like this 113 is panicking. He has to do something quickly because the artillery is going to be going for him. The The Kranvang fired all 4 of his rounds, put 3 into the IS-7 after one of them ricocheted, and the 113 puts an important shot into the lower plate of that IS-7, which now allows the Kranvang to finish reloading and to go round and to kill the Bat Chatillon. And as we heard the artillery miss, you see me ping the map again to let the Kranvang know where he was last spotted. At least, well, he hasn't been spotted at all, where he last hit me. And now we're going to have to see if this artillery is going to be able to take on the Kranvang at the end of the game. But he has got his time, and it looks like the Kranvang is going to be the last unicorn standing. So this was actually a really exciting battle for me because it was the last chevron that I needed to get rank 4, and getting rank 4 you get loads of credit boosters. And talk about needing credit boosters, yeah, I lost 64,000 credits playing this game, which is one of the worst things about ranked game mode. When the games are on a knife edge, you really do feel like you need every advantage you can get. So liberally applying those premium rounds really did allow me to do a lot of damage to all of those heavy tanks that pushed a little too recklessly. But I did find that if you use your credit boosters when you're playing the ranked game mode, especially towards the lower end of it before the competition starts getting really hot, then you can at least break even or even make quite a few credits, as long as you're not constantly missing, right? So Ranked Beta Season 2 is a big step in the right direction to actually make this a skill-based game mode. And I really hope that Wargaming build on this, and if I have one piece of feedback, it's to try and make the game mode both enjoyable and rewarding for as many players as possible. If you look at a game like Overwatch, for example, you could sit there and play for 2 to 3 hours once every 2 to 3 months. And I do think this game mode needs a participation reward for everybody. Anybody who's got a tier 10 tank deserves to get something every time that there's a season that comes out. Otherwise, there's no doubt that the player base will dwindle and we'll have another rampage situation on hands, and nobody wants that, right? And so hopefully you enjoyed this battle of the unicorns, so to say. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickieBaby. And this week, thanks to Ming, who suggested the IS-4 line because the KV-4 is going to be HD next patch, and the 120 people who backed them up, I'm going to be making my way down one of the oldest heavy tank lines in the game. And if you've never seen one of my Tech Tree showcases before, they're basically like miniature tank reviews, starting at tier 1 and working my way all the way up to tier 10, so you can see if it's a line that's worth grinding, or if you've already got the vehicles, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks in them. So really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickieBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.